we'll move on to Article 37. And I'm happy to talk a little bit about this one. Article 37 is about the Thoreau Depot Business District and Residence C. Next slide, please. So our proposed change is to amend the zoning map by expanding the Thoreau Depot Business Zoning District boundary and reducing the Residence C zoning district boundary. And this applies to specific parcels, the parcel on 143 Sudbury Road, 159 Sudbury Road, and then right next to the 159 Sudbury Road, the 148 to 150 Thoreau Street. So next slide, please. Here's a map of that area, and as you'll know, this is that intersection between Sudbury Road and Thoreau Street where the mobile station is and the Starbucks and dry cleaner building is right there. So we're talking about that corner right there. So you'll see the red line is where we're proposing to extend the business district boundary. You'll see the existing is crosshatched in kind of the green, and then the difference is right there to the red line. And on the upper part of the screen is the mobile station there, and in the bottom quadrant there is where the Sudbury Road is. So this is where the proposed boundary line would go, the red line. Next slide, please. So really why we're proposing this is because it would allow for a change of traffic pattern at the building that's currently being used for Starbucks. And it would allow creating a one-way entrance into Starbucks and a single traffic lane behind the Starbucks, and then a one-way exit, which would be a little ways down Thoreau Street, further away from Sudbury Road. And it was brought to our attention, it was made possible through an easement from the MBTA that the building owner obtained. Next slide, please. So it's kind of a small picture on your screen. You might see if you can make it a little larger, and these plans are available online. Basically, it's kind of showing the one-way traffic flow and how the driveway would go behind the building. And this change is supported by the fire chief and the police chief because this one-way traffic would substantially improve traffic and safety. And that's why it's been brought to our attention and why we're bringing it to the attention of the town. I just want to leave that up there just for a moment so people can see this is the existing parking lot, and the traffic goes right behind it. And you'll notice there's a few extra parking spaces here. That's not necessarily to increase the size of the parking lot. There's another aspect to this parking. The owner of the building is going to create, it's going to become mixed use and create apartments above. And so parking spaces will be devoted to those apartments above, and likely another 2 parking spaces will be used by employees. So it doesn't necessarily expand the parking lot for Starbucks customers or for the business owners' customers, but it should improve that flow of traffic by really allowing people to go just one way. Next slide, please. A little bit about the history and kind of why we're proposing to move the boundary lines. Really that TDB, that's Thoreau District, Thoreau Depot Business Zoning District. A little bit about that. It was laid out originally in 1928 as an offset from the road right-of-way. So it wasn't necessarily drawn to line up with property lines at all, or existing uses at the time or for future uses. So certainly in the case of the mobile building where the mobile is now, the change will align it with the property line. Next slide, please. So again, to kind of put that in perspective and show it again, the proposal for this article is to amend the business district and residency district line at 159 Sudbury Road and 148 Thoreau Street. This is a multifamily home right here, a 2-family home. And so we would propose to move the boundary line east, and it would make the property here 148 to 150 Thoreau Street, that would be smaller. So this would be the new property line here. It would allow one-way traffic flow. And then to the upper part of the screen here, we would also propose, while we're doing this, to amend the business district boundary and residency district line at 143 Sudbury Road where the gas station is, and that would line up with the existing property line. So just to remind folks, this is a change to the zoning boundary district. So this has to be approved by a 2/3 vote, just like all of the changes to our zoning bylaws, 2/3 vote at town meeting. It doesn't necessarily mean that Starbucks is going to, or the building owner is going to go ahead and put that pathway in. There's some other steps to the process. It would just allow the changing of the boundary, would allow the owner of the building to come before the planning board again and propose a change in the traffic pattern there. Similarly, if there were to be any other future changes, which is a concern that people have had before, well, what if this boundary line, what if somebody wants to move it to here? Any change, just like this one, to the boundary line of the zoning boundary change needs to be approved by 2/3 vote at town meeting. So those are a couple of questions we heard when we presented this the first time. I imagine we have several more questions this time, and we look forward to hearing them. So next slide, please. I think is just the question. So if you would go back maybe to the previous slide, I just wanted to make sure we'll leave it up there. And let me open it up to questions from folks that are on the line here. I'll give everybody a minute. I see a few hands going up. And so I will unmute you and ask you to unmute yourself. And then please state your name and your address, and then we'd like to hear from you. So hi, we can hear you.
Hi. The proposed boundary line that's moving into the residential area.
I'm sorry, could I interrupt you just for a moment? Could you just state your name and address, please? And then we'd like to hear that.
Sorry, Lynn Duffy, 225 Thoreau Street.
Thanks, go ahead.
Okay. What concerns me is that expanding that commercial space behind Starbucks into residential area so that we can create additional traffic. We have lived with the Starbucks traffic for, 20 years, and increasing their ability to have more traffic with more traffic on the Thoreau Street, in and out, with pedestrians walking by, still gumming up this intersection is extremely concerning. Living down the street, it's really just been painful the entire time that Starbucks has been here.
Thank you.
This is not solving problems.
All right, thank you for your comment. I'm going to unmute the next person.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, oops, let's try again. May I ask Ms. Walsh to, if she can unmute herself?
Did I do that right? Hi, I'm Moira Walsh, 169 Thoreau Street. Where do I begin? First of all, Christine, lovely presentation, very thorough, very thoughtful. All of you are amazing in terms of the time and energy you put into these things. And I really love the first two articles, 3 that were presented. I think they're very much in Concord in vision. But this one I strongly believe is not. Starbucks has been a thorn in the side of this neighborhood, and we are a neighborhood. We are not just a business district. And it includes Thoreau Gardens, Thoreau Court, Hubbard Street, Devon's Middle, Belknap, Southbridge. This is a neighborhood as well as a business district. And I would like to see as much concern to the neighbors as was given in West Concord and is given in the historic district that is 2 blocks away. This does not do this. It is a simple solution to a huge problem. Those of us, I've lived here 20 years, and this has been here for about 15. And it's not just this. It's the fact that now the mobile station has 16 cars parked there. They took the hedge away. And so we now have, it looks like a used car lot, in my opinion. Dunkin' Donuts has a nice colonial sign. Concord Crossing is done in the Concord character. This is not about the Concord character. This solves a problem, which is a problem for Starbucks, not for the community. And because we have a whole plan that we're looking at this whole district, I believe moving into a residential district even, and it doesn't solve the problem by moving this driveway 110 feet, because what's happened for 15 years is that people come out of Starbucks and they turn in my driveway, they turn in Silver's driveway, they turn in Stuffy's driveway, they turn in every driveway that they can. And it's been horrible. But my major concern, and let me tell you the history of this. When Starbucks first went in there, there had to be a police officer at that corner, at the Starbucks traffic corner, for a long time between the business hours. And because they let things go left and right. Now, no decision has been made whether they'll let things go left and right, in my understanding. So I'm a systems person. I look at a system and I look at things in a holistic way. That's my training. That's my professional way of looking at things. And this does not do that. I am very, very much against this. Not because I hate this corner, and I would like Starbucks to move 110 feet into Crosby's Plaza where there's an empty restaurant. And I have gone as far as to contact the president of Starbucks. They are not good community neighbors. They just aren't. They're non-responsive. And now we have an 18-wheeler that is parked there every single night between 4 and 6 with its engine running. And so people come off of Sudbury Road or down Thoreau Road, and they can't get around it to where they need to go. And I've asked why this is happening and why there isn't something done about it. And I have always gotten a response from Concord officials. It's a wonderful place to live. But this Starbucks, because I think it includes so many different committees, the police, the fire, the zoning, it includes a lot of people. And we all know how dangerous this street is. There have been many fatalities. And so I am really imploring people to put a pause on this and include it in this whole district plan. We've done a lovely job of opening this street to Karma, to 80 Thoreau. But this is an area where people on this side of Concord go to do their daily things. We go to Crosby's, we go to CVS, and we choose to live. People choose to live in this neighborhood because it's supposed to be pedestrian and walker friendly. It is the best of both worlds. You can go to the green and get all the forest you want, but you can also walk to things you like. So I strongly implore people to vote against this. Not because I don't want the problem solved. And I am willing to be, I don't like to be just a negative person. I'm willing to be part of the solution. I'm willing to be, to sit with people and come up with creative ideas. But this services Starbucks. It does not service Concord citizens. It's a quick fix to a long-standing problem. And I guess my question is, if this goes ahead, my question is, where is somebody going to put a police officer there? And are we going to get rid of that 18-wheel truck? And where's the traffic study? There's been no traffic study. There's been no pedestrian study. And I would like these formal things to be done before we rush ahead and make more of our neighborhood pavement. And you have to remember, Thoreau Street is often the first street that people from all over the world see. They get off the train. I've met so many foreign people who come to Concord and ask for directions. But my major concern, and I will stop here, is the children. This is like a wonderland of children. It's the street where all parents feel comfortable letting their kids go to Dunkin's or Cumberland's, and they do it with a sense of safety. But if they saw what happened around that 18-wheeler or at that Starbucks driveway on a daily basis, their hearts would be in their mouths, as mine is. So I strongly, strongly am against this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh. And I'd also like to note that we're in receipt of an email from Ms. Walsh from August 16th. So we do have your comments on the record also. There is another person with their hand up. Ms. Silver, may I ask you to unmute yourself and talk?
Yes, hi. You can hear me? Karen Silver, 164 Thoreau Street. I have expressed my concerns about Article 37 back in February, and again in an August 6th letter to the Concord Journal. I'd like to just add a further observation tonight. And I've been given to understand, and as was expressed tonight, that safety was one of the most important reasons for the board's support of this project. But as Moira just pointed out, in addition to vehicles, the Thoreau and Sudbury intersection has heavy pedestrian use, including lots of teenagers who walk to and from the high school. And given the tragic death just last week of a pedestrian at Thoreau in Maine, I think it would be prudent to give more careful consideration as to whether adding another busy driveway would contribute to the confusion that already exists at Thoreau and Sudbury, putting pedestrians at greater risk. The current parking lot entrance is a mess, but at least there's only the one slow-moving driveway for pedestrians to navigate. Given that the Thoreau Depot Business District vision and framework recommendations, as I understand it, are scheduled for presentation to town meeting in 2021, I would encourage the board to postpone Article 37 and to take the next year to review the proposed changes encompassed in Article 37, to review that as part of the total vision for the Thoreau Depot neighborhood as a pedestrian-friendly place. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate those thoughtful comments. I know we have one more, or I saw one more hand up. Let me see if it's still up. And just to clarify for anybody who's listening, we're talking about re-envisioning or redevelopment of the Thoreau Depot Business District, the whole district, including Thoreau Street there, and then over by Crosby's Market. So right now, just in terms of the timeline, we are in receipt of a memo that's kind of summarizing our vision, and the next steps over the next year or so would be to look at any proposed bylaw changes that we could hopefully bring to town meeting as early as next year's town meeting, but we'll see. So that's what Ms. Silver was referring to in terms of upcoming changes. So I appreciate the time that the neighbors in the neighborhood have taken to thoughtfully present things for everybody to hear before they make a vote at town meeting. I see no other hands up for this article. So if we could move to the next one, Article 38, which is about fairs, bazaars, antique shows, suppers, and dances. I'll be happy to take that one also.